In a story that was published on January 14th, RBC Ukraine cited an anonymous source inside the Ukrainian military as saying that Ukrainian troops were responsible for shooting down a Russian A-50 military aircraft that was flying over the Azov Sea. Not only that, but another Russian military aircraft, the Ilyushin-22M, was reportedly destroyed as well. Some reports indicate that the A-50 jet was shot down around 9:10 p.m. local time in the Kirilivka region of Zaporizhia. This occurred immediately after the plane began its job. Not only did the aircraft vanish from radars, but it also ceased responding to requests from tactical aviation. In the latter hours of that night, the pilot of a Russian Su-30 jet recognized the beginning of ignition and the descent of an aircraft that was not identified. It was approximately 9 o'clock in the evening local time when the Ilyushin-22M was shot down near the shore of the Azov Sea. The Ilyushin-22M had been patrolling the Strelkov region at the time. An audio clip of what RBC refers to as an intercepted conversation between the Russian pilot of the aircraft and the airport controller in Anapa, Russia, was uploaded to the internet by RBC. As well as requesting an ambulance and fire services, the pilot requested that everyone evacuate the area. The A-50 aircraft of Russia performed several essential roles in the continuing military operations in Ukraine. These activities include the detection of air defense systems and guided missiles, as well as the coordination of targets for Russian fighter planes using the aircraft. However, Russia only has 8 of these aircraft, even though they are of crucial importance. It would be very difficult, if not impossible, to find a replacement for it if it were lost in action. The A-50s are thus operated by Russia at a distance that is considered to be acceptable from the air defense systems of Ukraine. Because of this, it would be especially remarkable if Ukraine were to successfully destroy the A-50 aircraft. Yuri Mizyahin, who serves as the deputy chairman of the Committee on National Security, Defense, and Intelligence in the Verkhovna Rada, announced on Telegram that the 2 aircraft were shot down on Sunday evening. On the other hand, confirmation from authorities inside the Ukrainian military is not yet available. A few nights ago, the United States of America and the United Kingdom finally decided to take the initiative and stop playing the role of perpetual goalie in the Red Sea. Many people would argue that it is not too late, because the strictly defensive operation known as Operation Prosperity Guardian, or OPG, was not yielding the desired results. This was a requirement for anybody who believed in the freedom of navigation. There was a lack of reassurance among merchant ships, particularly the huge container corporations, which led to an increase in the number of ships that traveled along the route around Africa. As a consequence of this, shipping charges were increasing, and prices in the United Kingdom and other nations that were impacted began to mimic this trend. The fact that the battleships were forced to perform a role of perpetual defense in an atmosphere that resembled a war was also unjust to them. It's noteworthy that they have a takedown rate of 84% against the missiles and drones used by the Houthis. Nonetheless, this number is not 100%, and it will never be 100%. There have been several attacks on commercial ships, and sooner or later, they would have been struck as well. The majority of warships are smaller than the majority of commercial vessels, and they carry a significant amount of explosives. Warships have crews that are much greater than those of merchantmen. If warships are struck, there is a strong probability that soldiers will be killed or injured. The United States of America, with assistance from the United Kingdom and with professions of support from Australia, Canada, the Netherlands, and Bahrain, ultimately struck back after several warnings and a resolution from the United Nations. According to a statement made by the United States Central Command, this multinational action targeted radar systems, air defense systems, as well as storage and launch sites for unmanned aerial systems, cruise missiles, and ballistic missiles that deliver one-way attacks. As part of the British portion of the strike, the Royal Air Force, also known as the RAF, sent 4 Typhoon fighters and a Voyager refueling aircraft from the Akrotiri in Cyprus, which is about 1,300 miles away toward the target. Even an 8-hour trip is not unheard of. For example, flights to Libya from the United Kingdom were carried out for lengthier periods. It's nevertheless a remarkable accomplishment for a single-seater aircraft that does not have in-flight beverage card service. The operations carried out by the Royal Air Force were not only beneficial in their own right, since they destroyed launch locations for drones and cruise missiles, but they also provided credibility to the activities taken by the United States. The fact that the planes were able to stage flight out of Cyprus demonstrates once again the need to have bases that are well-founded and located in critical areas. Keep yourself updated on current events happening across the world. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and click that like button so as to not miss all further videos. The issue that arises now is whether or not this will prevent the Houthis from carrying out other attacks, or whether or not we have just entered another conflict in the Middle East. Unfortunately, international politics seldom neatly split that way, particularly when there is combat involved. So for the time being, at least the answer will be somewhere in the center. In the past, it was stated that the Houthis must either cease their fire of their own choice, be convinced to stop firing, most likely by Iran, although there are other countries involved, or be forced to stop firing. It was also said that the most probable path to victory is option 2, with option 3 providing just a small amount of assistance. It's quite unlikely that option 1 will occur. In Yemen and other areas of the region, the Houthis are acquiring too much power and prestige to want to stop, which also makes their vow to halt if there's a truce in Gaza appear improbable. The Houthis are accumulating too much strength and status to want to stop. Aside from that, their motto, which reads, Allahu Akbar, death to America, death to Israel, a curse upon the Jews, victory to Islam, does not seem like it is dripping with sorrow. However, nobody should have any expectations that the initial wave of strikes carried out by the United States and the United Kingdom has eliminated the Houthis' capability to hit shipping off their coast. The United States has already carried out an additional strike with the Tomahawk land attack missile from the USS Carney, which must have a lot of empty vertical launch cells by now, considering how much action she's participated in. This further attack was reportedly on a Houthi radar facility, as stated by the United States Central Command. It seems likely that the radar was destroyed because it had been activated and was searching the ocean for ships to provide the Houthis with the opportunity to intercept them. On the other hand, this would make the location of the radar accessible to electronic warfare receivers in the United States. With that out of the way, let's investigate the reasons that led to this bold step. As they continue to be involved in a struggle that has been going on for a long time, the Houthi rebels have once again shown their tenacity and their capacity to shake up the existing status quo. Shockwaves are being sent not just through the energy market, but also through the diplomatic corridors as a result of the geopolitical consequences of striking a Russian oil tanker. When the sun went down below the horizon, there was an explosion of turmoil on the high seas. The Houthi rebels, who are notorious for their unyielding resolve, assaulted the Russian ship that was painstakingly unprepared, leaving no chance for escape. When the oil tanker finally gave in to the onslaught of flames, explosions could be heard reverberating over the sea. As the flames danced against the night sky, throwing an eerie light on the Black Seas, the whole globe gazed in astonishment. As if the carnage on the high seas wasn't enough, our narrative takes an unexpected turn over Eastern Europe. As a dramatic demonstration of their military power, Ukrainian soldiers are said to have shot down Russian jets in a daring action. When tensions reached a boiling point, the skies turned into a battlefield, and the whole world is now waiting with bated breath for the next episode in this high-stakes drama. Although these occurrences seem to be isolated, they reflect a greater picture of global instability. Both the attack by the Houthis and the courageous action taken by Ukraine have created the conditions for a potential powder keg that can change alliances, trade dynamics, and international politics as we know them. During this time of reflection on these tragic occurrences, we must be aware and involved with the ever-changing environment of the global community. With just one escort on board, the precious Ike is now in the midst of the Red Sea, where the risk level is not high. There has never been a finer chance for Queen Elizabeth to show the public her value, but unfortunately, the instructions for the aircraft carriers appear to have gone missing in Whitehall. For as long as this continues, it's puzzling why she isn't halfway across the Mediterranean at this very moment. We have only just begun Operation Prosperity Guardian. The Houthis have been given reason to hesitate, similar to the Black Sea Fleet in Sevastopol. Still, they probably won't stop until Iran specifically orders them to. And even then, that would be assuming they pay attention. There will be ongoing strikes and counterattacks for a while, and many are anticipating something spectacular from the Houthis after last night's events. Time will tell if additional nations are willing to contribute warships now that the US and UK have proven their mettle, or whether countries like France, who already have one there, will participate properly. Djibouti, home to more than 1,000 French soldiers, is dangerously close to the Houthis. Thus, they may be a source of concern for the French. Sometimes they can simply be acting French. We are now facing a test of our will and resilience to reassure ships and restore freedom of travel in this crucial choke point. Our wish is that it endures. As the smoke billowed from the Russian oil tanker that had been destroyed, doubts began to rise about the underlying motivations that led to the Houthi missile attack. According to information from intelligence agencies, the rebels were attempting to convey a striking message not just to Russia, but to the whole globe, attempting to exert their dominance and draw attention to the continuing battles in the area. The Houthi rebels targeted a critical component of the global energy supply chain to accomplish their goals. This bold approach will have effects that reach beyond the immediate impact on the economy. It will raise worries about the stability of critical marine routes and will have larger implications for the security of the area. As we shift our focus to the skies above Eastern Europe, the bold action taken by the Ukrainian military in shooting down Russian aircraft adds another layer of complication to a situation that was already going through a turbulent period. This episode is a reflection of the heightened tensions that exist between the two countries and helps to highlight the instability that exists in the area. Speculation among analysts suggests that Ukraine's daring move is not just a reaction to what is considered to be aggression, but also a strategic play to affirm its autonomy in the face of demands from the geopolitical establishment. Because the airspace above Ukraine has evolved into a contentious battleground, the international community is keeping a tight eye on the situation, fully aware that any mistake might have far-reaching repercussions. In the process of connecting the dots between the attack by the Houthis and the brave action made by Ukraine, a more comprehensive narrative is emerging. It is a story of geopolitical chess played on a global scale. Even though they seem to be unrelated, the occurrences highlight the fragile nature of our internationally linked world. Both the Houthi rebels and the Ukrainian military have, in their unique ways, become participants in a geopolitical drama that extends beyond national boundaries. Because these occurrences are becoming crucial chapters in a tale that is still being told, the world is left to struggle with the ramifications of what has happened.